This program, of course, is presented by Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the most widely read, widely sold, and respected wrestling magazine in the world today.
Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Illustrated podcast. This is Al Castle, PWI senior writer, joined as always by fellow senior writer Dan Murphy. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's our WrestleMania edition.
That's right. It's the show just finished a few minutes ago. We're recording right away. Why don't we begin just with general big thoughts? A good WrestleMania or not?
Yeah, good WrestleMania. Not a great WrestleMania, but a very good one. And definitely better than the hype going into it. I wasn't particularly excited about the show, but curious, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's always, I think, the upside of low expectations, right? Is that, it's relatively easy to beat low expectations if you just deliver on the high side of everything. And I think for the most part they did. Good action, certainly some memorable WrestleMania moments. We'll go through it all. Before we do, just very quickly, I want to get some plugs out of the way. This time of year in particular, you definitely want to be checking out Pro Wrestling Illustrated. And certainly when we put our next issue together, I'm sure, Dan, you're going to be burning the midnight oil pretty soon, doing your coverage. And, if you've been reading Pro Wrestling Illustrated for any length of time, the post-WrestleMania issue is a must-have with some of their coverage. Great photos, great analysis. So you definitely want to pick it up. Do that at pwi-online.com. Subscribe while you're there. 6 issues for under $21, a fantastic value. That's $3.50 an issue, less or half off the cover price, and you can get an even bigger break if you subscribe to the digital version. So do that. $14.99 for 6 issues, $2.50 an issue. Like I said, do that at pwi-online.com, and also follow us on Twitter, official PWI. I was live tweeting all night long, having fun, interacting with fans. So anyway, that'll do it. Let's talk about the show. Let's begin with what's freshest in our mind, the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. We heard all kinds of predictions, a lot of intrigue going into this one because of the weird dynamics, Reigns not being over, how he needed to be over as the top babyface of the company, Lesnar being too over as a babyface despite being the top heel. Again, lots of theories about how this one would end, whether there would be a double turn, whether they just kind of plow ahead and have Roman Reigns beat Lesnar and just see how it works with him as the top babyface. I don't know that anybody saw this one coming. I mean, I heard there were certainly people predicting that Seth Rollins would cash in the briefcase afterwards, but the circumstances in particular, I don't know if anybody saw coming. Dan, why don't you recap what happened?
Well, yeah, basically what we had there is you had Brock Lesnar coming into the match and just dominating early on.
Dominating throughout. I mean, it was more of a beating than he gave Cena at SummerSlam.
Pretty much. It was pretty much the same thing, but Roman Reigns kept getting up and smiling through it, doing that smile that he was taking everything that the Beast could dish out. And now, leading into the main event, what I thought was interesting was there were a lot of, as you mentioned, WrestleMania moments, but I didn't think that there was really a great standout match. And I was thinking, well, I don't know if the main event can do it because I don't know if Reigns can deliver it.
It's also worth noting that they didn't have a whole lot of time. I think the match came into the ring with 15 minutes or less left to the hour.
And I think 10:41 might be when the bell rang, and they went 16:43.
Yeah.
That's the only match that I kept an unofficial time on, but there wasn't a lot of time. And I thought going into the ring and starting that late, I kind of ruled out any kind of cashing in the Money in the Bank. I just didn't think that there was enough time. But when 30 seconds into the match, Brock Lesnar hit the first F5, I thought, okay, well, now it opens up. Anything can happen. But it was just a great match in terms of realism, in terms of unpredictability, in terms of just that championship mega fight feel. And I loved it. I thought it was the blow-away match of the night. What's really interesting, too, is Seth Rollins cashes in and wins the championship. So you have a heel celebrating at the end of WrestleMania, which is pretty rare. But now you've got Randy Orton, who had a pinfall over him early in the night. So Randy Orton's got a viable title shot. Brock Lesnar was a champion, but he never actually lost. So he's got a title shot. And they kept Roman Reigns relatively strong because he kept rallying back. So there's a lot that they can do from this point on.
They really kind of masterfully booked themselves out of a corner here. Again, they could have done the Seth Rollins cashing in just for kind of shock value, and there was certainly that element to it. But as you said, it's really kind of brilliant the way it sets everything up. It protects Brock Lesnar, and you didn't mention it, but the creative thing about the cashing in is that it didn't come after the match; it came during the match.
Yes.
So it effectively made the match a triple threat match. Both guys were already vulnerable after Lesnar was just destroying Reigns throughout the match. Kind of a slip on the banana peel, kind of a change. Lesnar hits his head against the post outside. It's busted open. That kind of turns the tables. Reigns hits, I don't know how many Superman punches, with 3 or 4. It's worth noting he survived, I think, 4 F5s.
Yeah.
And now, so both guys, again, very vulnerable, kind of laying out, prone. And then Rollins' music comes in. He cashes in. And pretty quickly gets the pin on Roman Reigns after a curb stomp. But as you said, both men really get protected here, Lesnar and Reigns, in that Lesnar didn't get beat.
Right.
Reigns got beat, but, there's all kinds of questions now whether Rollins could do it legitimately, that kind of thing. And I suppose they lose Lesnar for a while now. He's going to go away for some time, I guess. But as you said, they've got Rollins and Reigns set up. That's definitely a main event program that they could do at house shows, at Extreme Rules. A lot of history there. So, yeah, I thought it was the ultimate example of taking lemons and making them into lemonade. I really thought a terrific, terrific finish.
And if you still think that Reigns isn't quite ready, there's still Orton out there.
Yes.
I mean, you can make that match a 3-way and add that extra little bit of intrigue to it. Again, the purist in me hates seeing it because it was such a good match, and I wanted to, personally, I wanted to see Lesnar go over. But either Lesnar or Reigns just have a clean winner in the main event of WrestleMania is what I'd love to see. But you have to appreciate the storytelling and where they're going to go with this. So I really liked how they chose to conclude that. And
really, of those 3 guys in the ring, the guy who deserves it most is Seth Rollins. I think Roman Reigns still has a tremendous upside and will be there one day. I think it was rushed a bit. Part of it was just circumstances. He lost several valuable months of grooming last fall with that hernia injury. Lesnar is great. I mean, just once in a lifetime kind of act. But he's around so infrequently, it really was a problem if he held on to that belt much longer. So this really is the best of all the options. And Rollins, we talked about it when we did the PWI poll episode a couple weeks ago. Who is the most likely guy to be the number 1 in the PWI 500 this year? A few of us said Seth Rollins, kind of forecasting that this was going to be his year, and I think this night kind of starts that off. And, who knows how long he holds that title, but certainly an amazing moment for a super talented guy tonight. It's got to be one of the highlight of his career and one of the highlights of his life. So, yeah, terrific. I mean, very much a WrestleMania feel, a worthy finish to a special show. So, yeah, I'm pumped. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I agree. But it again, and I know we're going to go through all the matches here, but it does stand to be repeated that he lost. He lost to Randy Orton earlier in the night. So I mean, he have that opportunity for number 1 in the 500 or whatever. I mean, Seth Rollins had plenty of blemishes along the way too, but at the end of the night, he's holding the title, so that's what matters.
And he's a heel, and he's a true heel, and in that sense, I thought it made it all the more satisfying that he lost clean to Orton. Orton was a better man in that match. Again, kind of a weaselly, opportune move that he took in the main event, as he should, as a true heel. The question is, one thing that this doesn't solve is Roman Reigns is still not over as a babyface. So, as you mentioned, they can continue on with Orton and Rollins. And in that feud, I think Orton will continue being over as a babyface. But if they transition into something with Roman Reigns, it's still a major problem, right? Because Reigns still isn't over as a babyface, and if they put those two together, all it's going to do, I think, is kind of muddy Rollins as a heel, because fans going to be in the position to cheer him against Reigns.
By the way, I think Muddy Rollins would be a perfect name for a blues singer. That's awesome. No, I think that what you can do right now is you can take a reset a little bit, not to use a Michael Coleism. I know you used that term a few times tonight, but scale Reigns back. I think that you've still got a future world champion there and multiple-time world champion. He just quite wasn't at that spot. Now, as that match went, first what was odd of the way it was constructed is 30 seconds in, he could have been pinned. He took an F5 right away, and the fans wanted to see him get pinned. But as the match kept going on, he's getting dominated, getting up. At certain times, you could hear a fan chant of "Let's go Reigns" or "Let's go Roman." I forget what it was, but they were beginning to feel sympathy for him. They were beginning to back him. Now, he wasn't there. It certainly wasn't, the WrestleMania headliner reaction that you would expect, but it was starting. So maybe you do something now. I mean, imagine putting him in a tag team with Brock Lesnar for a little bit, or doing something where you kind of build him back up again as just being this tough guy and make him kind of the badass that he can be.
Right.
And, see how he looks around this time next year and see if there's a chance to put him in the main event scene at that point.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you see him laid out in the ring, closing WrestleMania, bloodied, got pinned. It's hard to see how this is good for him, but you're totally right. I do think this is good for him. I think this is probably the best of all the options for him. If they put that title on him and just, again, stubbornly kind of just pushed ahead and force him down to fans' throats, it would be bad for him in the long run. Should we work our way back?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. The semi-main event, I guess, or at least slot in that position, was Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt. Frankly, I thought this was maybe the worst match of the night. The fans weren't very receptive to it. When we start off in the beginning, you get Bray Wyatt's entrance. He was ushered to the ring by some kind of zombie scarecrows, weird stuff. The place wasn't dark. I mean, it's California. They're several hours behind, so it was only about, I guess, 7 o'clock their time when this came to the ring. So that hurt the entrances somewhat. Taker came out, looked great, looked in better shape than he did last year, grew his hair out some. But the match got started, and the first 2/3 or so of the match, I thought, was just kind of plotting, a little sloppy at times. The fans were kind of sitting on their hands for it. I just wasn't thrilled with it. I wasn't thrilled with the chemistry that these two had. It got interesting late in the match when they started to rely on more of the theatrics. There was a spot where Bray did the spider walk thing, and Taker was laid out, and Taker did the sit up. And that kind of scared Wyatt out of the spider walk. So that was a kind of cool moment. And I forget how many tombstones it took, but was it just 2, I think?
I think it was 2.
Yeah, so Undertaker pins Bray Wyatt after 2 tombstones. The whole thing, I can't help but think of the streak and how the streak is not on the line and how much more satisfying this would have been if it was on the line. I mean, now I guess it's 22 and 1 technically, or is it 1-0? I don't know. Whatever it is, it took something away from the near falls, the suspense, and I was never totally invested in this match.
Yeah, I don't think it was a great match, but I think it was a match that told a story, and I think that's what they were trying to do. I think Undertaker was playing. I mean, he's an older guy, and he hasn't been wrestling as much, but I think he was really playing the older guy a lot more and selling, to be perfectly honest, selling a lot more for Bray Wyatt to really kind of build that drama. I think that Undertaker, I think he still got more gas in the tank than he showed. I think he could go more. I think he could do more stuff, but I think that they really kind of built that match around, as JBL said in commentary, what Undertaker are we seeing? Are we seeing a guy who's a shell of his former self, or are we seeing a guy he's now the beatable Undertaker, which is a little bit of a different character, and he's got to kind of develop that for however long they want to. I mean, maybe just for WrestleMania, or maybe maybe you bring him back for a while. I mean, one more title run wouldn't be completely out of the picture if they book it the right way. But I thought it was good. I think the story they told was good. It made Bray Wyatt look pretty strong. and it righted the ship a little bit, got Undertaker's win, and it makes people curious to see where they're going to go next.
It's worth noting they did a video package somewhere around this time, it might have been earlier in the night, for WrestleMania 32 in Dallas, and showed Undertaker pretty prominently in that video package. So for what that's worth, I guess they're looking ahead to 32, and it'll be Texas, his home state. There's some thought that maybe that's when you do the retirement match. Yeah. Do you finally pull the trigger on Taker versus Cena, which was kind of the WrestleMania match that people have been talking about for years that's never happened? So we'll see. What would you do with Taker next year at Mania?
What I'd love to see him do is I'd love to see him have a title match. I mean, I don't know if the champion will be or anything like that. It could just be a retirement match. I wouldn't do him against Triple H like they tend to do. A lot of the like legends matches of part-timers that they've kind of been doing now. But have him wrestle one more meaningful match where his career's on the line. Title versus career kind of thing, something like that. And, just see how it goes. Have one more run left in him, or, just the end of the road.
Yeah, you mentioned Triple H. I think he might already have a match booked for next year, and
it's possible.
Working our way backwards. That was the segment before this, and for my money, after the finish of the main event, to me this was the highlight of the night. I thought this was just terrific. So Stephanie and Triple H are in the ring. They do the announcement of the attendance in Levi Stadium, about 76,000 fans in attendance. And
176.
Yeah. And Triple H and Stephanie start spouting out. They do their heel authority routine. I sensed that we were in for, the Rock music coming any moment now. And sure enough, it did. Rock comes out, gets the huge pop. This was all fine. They do the stare down between Rock and Triple H. They talk about the rivalry, the history. Some months back on SmackDown, remember they teased this in the anniversary special, whether they would do a WrestleMania match. And then Stephanie gets in Rock's face quite a bit, really starts tearing him down, kind of degrades him, sends him out of the ring. And I kind of didn't know where this was going from there. And then The Rock finds at ringside none other than UFC Bantam Women's champion, Ronda Rousey. And the crowd just goes nuts. And I thought they did a good job throughout the night, unless I just wasn't looking, but I didn't see her there all night. I saw Shayna Baszler, I saw some of the other four horsewomen. I didn't notice Ronda. Yeah,
they pointed her out at one point earlier in the night, which is good. Set the scene. Hey, she's there, but they didn't dwell on it, which is strong.
Yeah, so when those two had their confrontation, he has her come over the ringside barrier. The place just went nuts, and you talk about WrestleMania moments. There's the stare down. Rock and Ronda, Stephanie and Triple H, they exchanged some words. Just a lot of fun here. I mean, the whole idea was the Rock wouldn't hit a woman, but Ronda would. Rock was great in putting over Ronda. Talked about her being the most dangerous woman in the world, or whatever it was. Said that she would pull out Stephanie's fallopian tubes and play jump rope with them. This was just great stuff. Ronda was really good. A lot of times you get these celebrities involved, and they kind of take it all as a joke. Kind of the Jon Stewart deal a few weeks ago. Yeah, they kind of play make-believe pro wrestler, what they think a pro wrestling acting kind of thing is. Ronda, being a fan from way back, totally got it and did this totally straight-faced. It was a terrific angle. She tossed Triple H, gave him the judo throw, disposed of Stephanie. I don't know what you do with this. I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to take from this. Was this just a one-night, fun WrestleMania moment kind of interaction? Or, as I said, are they, foreshadowing next year's big WrestleMania attraction match? And obviously they need something for Dallas, for 100,000 fans. They really need to pull out all the big guns. And WWE loves calling on what they think are big pay-per-view draws, whether it's Mike Tyson at WrestleMania 14, Floyd Mayweather at WrestleMania 24. I don't know that pay-per-view draws get much bigger than Ronda Rousey these days. So, do they go that route? Do they do a tag team match? I mean, you could limit how much time she's in the ring. That's certainly a marquee match. It looks great on a poster. I think would get a lot of mainstream media interest. So, what do you think? Do you think this was just, again, a one-off for tonight, or do you think they're looking at next year?
No, I think it was a one-off. I mean, Ronda Rousey, there's definitely a place for her in WWE if she were to ever make that transition and go into WWE, and she has talked about it. But putting her in the ring against Stephanie McMahon is not the place for her. I mean, Stephanie McMahon is, she's in great shape, walking on the street, great shape, but she's not an athlete. And I mean, it's not even a sellable match, I don't think. So I don't think it is an attractive match. Now you can put Ronda in against some of the divas. You can make something happen there. And having her with The Rock works. But I thought it worked really well for what it was tonight. I thought that segment was way too long.
It was.
I liked it for what it was, but it could have been a third of the length and been much more effective. But for what it was a good moment. But I don't expect them to go much further with it.
Yeah, you could always do, if they want to do at least Triple H and The Rock at WrestleMania, which is probably a lot more likely.
Yeah.
Next year, could you have, Stephanie in his corner, Ronda in his corner, that kind of thing. I imagine they could put together a match that would be very limited in what they'd expect both Stephanie and Ronda to do. And Stephanie's not above getting physical. We saw it with Brie Bella at SummerSlam, so she's willing to go in there and wrestle, especially with a year to train.
I mean, the difference between Brie and Ronda is pretty significant.
Yeah, yeah. But who knows? A couple of throws, a couple of carefully choreographed spots. It might happen again. Maybe more likely a singles match with the women in each corner, or maybe again it was just a one-off for tonight. That's definitely possible. Could very well be that UFC is not having Ronda Rousey compete in WWE while under contract and holding their championship. So who knows? Whatever it was a great WrestleMania moment. I agree it was too long. I think, the one thing that The Rock learned from Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 18 all those years ago was how to milk an audience reaction and maybe milk it a little too long. And it was probably 5-7 minutes before he came out, before he said his first words. Yeah. It just took forever. So I agree. But still, the